Eastern Platinum is a Canadian platinum group metals producer which acquired Eastplats. It has assets on both the western and eastern limbs of the Bushveld complex. It has a market cap of 1.6 billion rand, but is not currently profitable and pays no dividends. Why are we speaking about it then?
There's a common theme running through these guys. But look, it's all because these are the mid-cap or smaller development companies. And profits, is an elusive thing under such trying times. But Eastplats, just to recap, a Canadian company that basically sort of semi-reversed into Eastplats. Impala had a stake at some point in Eastplats, and they decided, yes, like these, Crocodile Valley and Kennedy's Vale, they'd battled for years to get them to pay. They became valuable though in 08, 09 because of the rising platinum prices. So now here we are. Interestingly, because it's Canadian, it attracts another sort of class of shareholder that seems to think, exciting sounding mining assets out in Africa are an interesting kind of investment prospect. But the mine up at Brits, which is Crocodile River, actually makes a bit of money and develops and does a few mines that operate.
Gary's starting to get enthusiastic about that, or not of the
head.
head.
Other stuff is all down in the Steelport area. That's the eastern limb. But that's all the stuff that's kind of, on a lick and a promise.
All right, well, let's go into the stuff that is really exciting and delivers potentially exciting promise going forward.
I don't know about that for Eastplats, but the Crocodile River, they are mining a lower grade ore there, and at least like Paul says, at least there's production. But not too exciting a story, but something that you got to remember with all these sort of mid-cap platinum miners. I mean, with the platinum price depressed, obviously we've got this down quite heavily, but this is perhaps the time where you want to start be digging around and looking for new assets. I mean, looking at something like Eastplats, I mean, it's not by any means a buy for me, but it does have fairly.
What are we trading at the moment?
R1.70.
R1.70, and we've been as high, over this period, 2010 to 2012, as high as almost that 15
I'm sorry
rand
to
level.
say that in 2007 it traded as high as 32 rand.
As 32, so it's halved to the height here. All right, but still, I mean, if you were buying it at current levels to 15 rand, I wouldn't say no.
But the problem is it only produces, I think, if our numbers are right, about 20 or 30,000 ounces a year. That's actual production, saleable, which is mostly the stuff near the surface while they kind of mangle around. The big Spitzkorp asset is the most interesting one, and that gets them to the sort of 70, 80 million ounces resources. But that's got to cost a bomb to develop. And where's that money going to come from? It's not clear.
But it's still about this depressed platinum price. If we see China kick-starting appropriately, we see the US, that liquidity, creating momentum, Ben Bernanke being correct in his play in this excess liquidity and the quantitative easing, platinum could shoot the lights out if you've got a positive theory for the rest of the world and it's not the end of the world, which means that these stocks could potentially re-rate aggressively. I use that term again.
No, I mean, whenever you're looking at sort of stocks, penny stocks like this, I mean, trading at these levels, the percentage gains that you'll be looking at should that come to pass, it's going to be massive. The problem is, looking at Eastplats specifically, I mean, the low grade ore, it's not perhaps as viable as some of the other ones.
Is this one going to vanish? Let's just
no,
be quite
I don't think so. I like the way you put that because it's partly about profits, but where you really make money in the market is where you get the sector re-rating, because it's in an environment of rising PEs that you see great gains being made. That's where the 10 baggers are to be had. So clearly the earnings have got to follow, but then the rating ratchets up. At the moment, unfortunately, even the guys that trade modestly profitably are not being given the benefit of the doubt of the rating.
All right, but I've got one more thing to throw in there. It's not necessarily about the whole world recovering. It's also about that aggressive supply side constraint coming through because so many mines are shutting down that the platinum price could in fact just re-rate from that. Or is that a little bit outlandish in my thinking?
No, I don't think so. We saw Lonmin coming out as well with its first major shutdown, and obviously you've got our government sort of sitting on the one side saying we don't want to see any more shutdowns because obviously that's going to impact jobs. So it's difficult, and to see a proper supply squeeze, I think maybe unlikely. But I think there could still be a fair amount of pressure coming through from the demand side.
Hot or not on Eastern Platinum, Paul?
No, too far out and too much trouble between now and then.
Gary, hot or not?
No, not for me either.